Hey everybody, how you doing? How you doing? It's your favorite person's favorite person here, Stan Pearson II, the host for your favorite show, the Everyday Sexy Podcast, where we discuss how to improve our self-esteem, our confidence, and how we work, how we develop, how we continue to grow in this ever-changing world. As I typically say, it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. It may not always be easy, but as we continue to work, strive, develop, and grow as individuals and as students of this world, we have a responsibility to always try and be a little bit better today than we were yesterday. If not for ourselves, for people who came before us and struggled to put us in a better situation or circumstance than we grew up in. If you are saying to yourself, well, there was no one there for me, I was always there for myself, I understand you, I hear you. Well, then what does that mean? That means that you have a responsibility to you to improve the situation, the life, the circumstance that you were brought into through no fault of your own. And that isn't always an easy concept to grasp, but it is one that's worth grasping and having those honest conversations with yourself that I always discuss, because I want to make sure, even though it goes without saying, I want to make sure that every time, we talk about bettering ourselves and discussing, places in our lives that we want to improve, that I include that, listen, this is going to be difficult. This is not fair. This should not be happening to me. All of those things are true, but it doesn't make them any less real. My dad used to tell me every once in a while when he tasked me out, to do something or to work on something, whether it be something having to do with, the house or, doing yard work. And let's say I had a really, really good reason for not completing the task. I had a really, really good reason. Sometimes he would say to me, son, all the reasons in the world for not getting something done is not the same as getting it done. So I'll say that one more time. He would say, son, sometimes all the reasons in the world for not getting something done are still not the same as getting it done. So we all have our own issues, our own reasons for not achieving, for not getting things done. But ultimately, what that taught me as I got older is I've had a lot of good reasons for not completing tasks. I've had a lot of good reason for not making something the best or whatever, right? And still, all the reasons in the world for not getting something done were still not the same as getting it done. And that is a truth that I hold on to that makes me, again, continue to want to make sure I push and grow and develop in a healthy way and be willing to challenge myself and those around me. And then I find that they challenge me too. Again, you may have heard this before, but even the best choir in the world needs rehearsal. The best athlete in the world still goes to practice, has someone coach them, remind them of what it takes to be the best version of themselves. And I hope that's what I'm able to do for you. I hope that's what I'm doing for you, is being that resource so that we can all kind of grow together. And I talk about this in sports, or people talk about this in sports. And when I'm doing trainings and conference facilitation for schools, we talk about organizations and how we leave them. And I remember being a young student in college thinking for a period of time, when I leave this organization is going to be nothing. This organization is nothing without me. And I took pride in feeling like once I left, they would no longer exist or they wouldn't be that great, right? Because I was gone. And then I began to think and have more conversations. and go, wait a minute, is that an indictment on who I really was as a leader, as a person, as a connect? Uh, your organization, your life, whatever you're doing is only as great as you leave it. And that alone can be the motivation you might need to put you in a position to work harder, to do more, to grow more, because we are only as good as the organization that we left or that we're working to be at. We're only as good as the people who are reporting to us sometimes. We are only as good as the people we are around. So if you're looking around, the folks that you would call, colleagues, dare I say friends to some degree, and it's not what you want them to be. They're not who you want them to be. Well, in some ways that's a reflection, but that also serves as a reminder to get it done, to get it moving in the right direction while we're still here, living, learning, and breathing. So getting to this very important message that I feel like you might need right now. This might be worth having someone subscribe. This might be worth making sure your friend subscribes, to the Everyday Sexy podcast, where we're learning to develop ourselves, our confidence, our self-esteem, and our relationships. There's a person by the name of Mel Robbins. I don't know if you all have ever heard of Mel Robbins before, but she created something called the 5-second rule. Now that's something that you can Google it. It's really powerful. But aside from that, she spent some time doing an interview during Mental Health Awareness Month. Okay. And part of the quote that she shared was, worrying, if you let it go unchecked, what will happen is you will get used to worrying. You will get used to living in a state where you are slightly agitated all the time. I'm going to repeat that, okay? She said, worrying. If you let it go unchecked, what will happen is you will get used to worrying. You will get used to living in a state where you are slightly agitated all the time. Now think about this. Think about work, life, relationships, home, driving. Think about all those things. Think about what can happen if you worry too much. I don't know if you've ever heard the term or the phrase worry wart, and just letting things always bother you and get on you and get under your skin, where you feel like you have to react, you have to do something, you have to say something, and what that might do to you. I'm going to read this one more time, not because I didn't read it clearly before, not because I think you all are crazy, but I just want this piece right here to sink in again by Mel Robbins. She's great. She's a great mind. She's very thought-provoking, but here it is one more time. Worrying, if you let it go unchecked, what will happen is you will get used to worrying. You will get used to living in a state where you are slightly agitated all the time. I just want that to sink in, and for you all to think about how that might affect you on a daily basis. If you are the type to let, people run over you, and people, the type to be comfortable with people saying whatever they want to say to you, and letting that go unchecked, eventually, like anything else, that will weigh on you. That will bother you. That could put you in a place where you become more agitated, as stated, more confrontational. Maybe then you find yourself, being a little bit resentful, because people will still move on with their lives. People will still do what they've always done if it goes unchecked. And it's unfortunate because now people are passing away and dying younger and younger all the time. That's something that breaks my heart, worries me. But I also realize that I too am a person who worries from time to time. Sometimes I let bad drivers get to me too much. I just want to get to where I want to get to. Should that cost me time, seconds, minutes out of my life because I allow myself to be worried by someone I may never, ever see again, someone I may never, never experience again, but I let that frustration get all over me? That is not healthy. That is not smart. Worrying, especially without checking something, letting something go unchecked, and then worrying about it is a weight that adds weight every single day. If the weight is 1 pound today, next week it becomes 2 pounds. If that 2 pounds goes unchecked, the following week that becomes 4 pounds. The following week that might become 16 pounds. You're like, Stan, what kind of math are you doing? Right now I'm doing some compound interest. That's what I'm saying. Because worrying can do that to you. Worrying can become very overwhelming, and it can surely take you out of your character because we don't understand what we're experiencing sometimes. We don't understand what other people are experiencing and going through. But what is important to understand is worrying can shift the mind state. Worrying can shift your peaceful place. And often, if not always, turn you into something that you never were or who you are not. It's very important that when you realize something is worrying you, that you check it in a healthy and clear way so it's not misunderstood. Whether it's school, a professor, a boss, again, girlfriend, boyfriend, living situation, tenant, manager, you name it. If it in any way can worry you, it is imperative that you not let it go unchecked. These are very small things that yield great rewards. And once you've gotten it off your chest, be at peace. Once you get it off your chest, be at peace. Everything does not have to be a yelling match or an argument or a chase down. It really doesn't have to be. And these are things that I'm not just teaching you or opening your eyes to. These are things that I'm also teaching myself. I want to live a very, very long time. I feel that the less I worry, the longer I may be able to live. So in saying that, I want to make sure that there are things that the things that may bother me, I address them. I deal with them. If it's a person, place, thing, that it's addressed. And then once you address something the appropriate way, be at peace with it. Once you address something the appropriate way, be at peace with it. Sometimes there's only so much you can do. You might be doing too much. You might be going too far. Do what you can do. Then be at peace and move on. Worrying, it can surely be that device that weakens you, that paralyzes you in the most important moments. That's why it's important that if there's a worry that you're experiencing or dealing with, you address it, be at peace with it, and you move forward. I hope that this was beneficial to you in some way. And as I'd like to send another resource out to you all, I highly recommend Mel Robbins. I've not met her personally, but I've listened to a few podcast interviews that she's been involved with. I've checked out her philosophy, and I am definitely a fan. And if you are in the mind state or have the desire to improve yourself and who you are, and not just who you are right now, but who you want to be, I highly, highly recommend Mel Robbins. That's what I have. So I appreciate you all so very much. Last but certainly not least, I'm definitely going to share this quote one more time because I want to drive this home for you. And then one last bonus quote is going to rock your boots. All right. Again, worrying, if you let it go unchecked, what will happen is you will get used to worrying. You will get used to living in a state where you are slightly agitated all the time. Now, just imagine if you're slightly agitated all the time, what's going to happen at some point? At some point. You tell me. I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I'm just asking you what's going to happen at some point. We don't want that. You don't want that. Even if you think you want it, you don't. Address it, be at peace. Last but certainly not least, is another quote by Mel Robbins. Another quote by Mel Robbins. And you've heard something similar before, but this right here has a lot to do with contributing to a more non-worry or worry-free life, or addressing worry. And it's never apologize for setting boundaries. Okay? Never apologize for setting boundaries. You'll realize as well that a lot less worry is going to be associated with you in certain situations if you set the expectation in the very beginning or at whatever point, and that you don't have to apologize for setting boundaries. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of the Everyday Sexy podcast, where we look at helping people find their sexy from the inside out, the art of being you, the best version of you every single day. That means we take little pieces, we tweak them, we work on them, we develop them so we can continue to be better today than we were yesterday. If you all enjoyed this, please subscribe. Feel free to check out my website, www.stanpearson.com. Again, www.stanpearson.com. If you're on social media, please visit @TheRealStanP. That's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. @TheRealStanP. That's just in case someday someone wants to be the fake one. But I appreciate you all so very much. Remember to be good to you and the people around you every day you possibly can be. And let's make the most of the time we have here. Take a deep breath. Still have a chance, because it's a great day. Remember, 24/7, 365 and 1/4 days a year, that you're good, you're great, you're worth it. All the while making sure you look good, feel good, and be good. This is Stan Pearson II. You heard it here first. Peace.